Life is a highway. It's full of twists, turns, and complex issues to try and navigate. Welcome to Retire the Wright Way with Anthony Wright of Retirement Specialty Group. Each week, you'll hear us discuss the pitfalls and common investing mistakes we see people make. We'll also educate you about the financial world and encourage you to think about solutions to some of the problems and question marks you might face in your own financial life. So let's get on the right road to retirement with Anthony Wright here on Retire the Wright Way.
Well, hello and welcome into the program. This is Retire the Wright Way. Marc Killian here, your host, along with my co-host and founder of Retirement Specialty Group, Mr. Big Dog Anthony Wright, my good buddy, and your good buddy as well, right here in the Knoxville and Chattanooga area. Anthony's offices are all over the place. He's down in Sparta, Crossville, Knoxville, Chattanooga. So certainly a great resource to tap into here in the area. If you've got questions about retirement and finance, reach out to Retirement Specialty Group. And you can do that by calling 888-557-1993. That is 888-557-1993. Anthony's an author as well and an all-around good guy. Anthony, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
Good to be with you, Mark. I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm doing pretty good today. Sounds like you have got some good pep in your step. Sounds like you've had a good weekend or so.
Oh, man. I'm so honored I was gone earlier this week very honored to be a part of the top advisors in the country, and our event was in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that was earlier in the week. How was that? Was it a good time?
It was a great time. It was fantastic. Fortunately, I got to walk across the stage in the top 100, so that's quite an honor.
That is. That sounds very good. Well, congratulations to you, and we certainly always like to hear that. That means we know that you're a good resource to tap into when we have these questions about finance and retirement. That's what we do here on the program, right? We talk about the world and
Absolutely.
We talk about the world of finance. We take questions from you around the area. If you'd like to submit some questions to be asked on the show, you can do so by going to retirementspecialtygroup.com. That's retirementspecialtygroup.com, or check him out on Facebook at Retirement Specialty Group. Well, let's dive into the show, Anthony, and let's talk about some easy ways that we can muck up our retirement. We can ruin our retirement if we are not careful. You know, proper planning, as you know, often requires changing your mindset about some things, making sure that, you're able to adapt mentally as well as obviously, financially and with the things you want to adjust. So let's talk about a few points here. Treating retirement as a destination rather than like a beginning or like a whole new section of life. What do you think about that? Is that something that works well for that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like if you're still working, it's easy to think of retirement as the end goal.
Sure, right. Okay.
But you shouldn't think of retirement as a finish line. I mean, after all, being honest here, your retirement could end up being even longer than your working career, right?
It's true. Nowadays, we're living so long, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and people are living a lot longer now. So it's extremely important, and you hear me talk about it all the time on here, and a lot of the folks in Orlando this past week, were congratulating me on my success and asking. I said, guys, as much as I'd love to take credit for it, really, it's just enacting a plan that just makes sure that my clients, their assets last instead of just running out of money. I mean, I'm like, it's not really any big secret. Everybody's like, well, congratulations on making the top 100. And I'm like, well, I mean, as much as I would like to take credit for it in the accolades, it's really just enacting a plan. It's setting up a plan for folks. And Mark, that nobody has a plan anymore, and they just kind of, like you're saying here, they just kind of treat retirement as a destination rather than the beginning. And to be quite honest, sometimes you get there and it lasts longer than the work career. I've got many clients that have been retired longer than they're working, so people are living longer now, things are going longer now. And we just have to be sure that we put a plan together and then enact that plan and make sure that it not only gets us to retirement, but it gets us through retirement.
Well, I like the way you put that. Don't think of it as a finish line, because that kind of has, on the one hand, I guess you could say there's a motivation to that, right? If you're running a race or something, you're happy to cross the finish line. But at the same time, that could kind of also be taken as a negative. Well, I've reached the finish line. Now what do I do?
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Go ahead and just look at it as a way to start something something new. You're just almost like when we graduate high school or college, right? The commencement. It's the end of one thing, beginning of another. So certainly a good way to think about that. What about believing that retirement's going to solve all your problems? You got to be careful on that one, right?
Well, it's true that you'll have less work-related stress and,
right, yeah.
and more free time, but retirement often, also presents challenges that you didn't have really when you were working. And just because you're retired doesn't mean you'll suddenly have enough time to do every single thing that you want to do and no problems and
right. well, first things first, right? Every day is a weekend when you're retired.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, I see it all the time. People think, oh, wow, I didn't know I was going to work so hard being retired. Well, and even my dad, my own dad, he says the same thing. He'll say, man, I didn't have any idea I was going to work so much. He's like, I think I need to go back to my job so I can get some rest. So, and I like how you said it too. Every day. How'd you say that? Every day's a weekend?
Every day's a weekend when you're retired.
Yeah.
My dad used to tell me that. He's like, man, well, you know how you spend like on the right when you're working, right? When our regular parts of our lives, and when the weekend comes, we tend to spend a little bit more, right? Maybe we take the family out or whatever. Well, he used to tell me, he's like, man, I'm spending money all the time in retirement because every day's a weekend.
I like that.
So, it's one of those things you got to watch out for. Well, you want to make sure that you're not misstepping when it comes to retirement. We say this all the time. We talk about this all the time. Even though the market's doing great and it's been doing really well, over the last 18, 20 months or so, you want to make sure that you're in the right positions for you to be in, depending on your time horizon, because everybody's age is different that is out there listening to us. And so you want to make sure you're doing the right things by your retirement plan. And Anthony Wright and the team can certainly help you. Give them a call, 888-557-1993. If you have questions, you really just want to sit down and just bounce some things off of him, that's fine too. No worries. Come on in, have a conversation, and at least just get that information out there. Get that dialogue flowing. 888-557-1993. Anthony, so if we assume that our monthly spending habits in retirement can be easily determined by our spending habits while we're working, are we making the right assumption or is that wrong?
Well, quite honestly, most people think that they're going to need probably somewhere between, I hear 70 to 90% of their current salary in retirement. That's kind of what I hear, as we talk to people on a daily basis. But you really need to evaluate what your retirement expenses will realistically be. And a lot of times that's kind of my job, is to just kind of help you sit down and think about realistically what these expenses are going to be. And, you might find out that you can eliminate a lot of expenses that are just waste sometimes. Or you might find that your planned retirement activities will dictate that you'll need a lot more money or a little more money than even you really thought and anticipated. So that's something that you want to know long before your first day of retirement. You really want to know, am I going to need more money, or am I going to need 70 to 90% of what my salary is, or am I going to need a little more? I see that a lot, and I deal with that in a lot of instances. And you just don't really know until you sit down with somebody like myself and we start going through it, because you have to understand you're not going to be working 50, 60 hours a week. You've got that extra time to go play golf, which costs money.
Yeah, like I was just saying, right? You got the extra time for the activities. You maybe want to dote on the grandkids. And I'll say this, Anthony, I think there's also those couple of phases. We've kind of talked about this before a little bit. When you first hit retirement, if you have that assumption, if you think, okay, well, now that we're getting into retirement, we're going to spend less money because I'm not traveling to work, I'm not eating out at lunch, blah, 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 blah. Well, you're forgetting the fact that you're hitting first retirement and you're going to want to do things. They call it the go-go phase, right? So the first few years of retirement, you want to go. And so you're going to maybe even spend, I've seen estimates somewhere even 10 to 15% more than your normal expenditures when you first hit retirement. And then you move from that go-go phase to that slow-go phase, maybe once you hit your mid-70s, late 70s, early 80s, because now you're slowing down, right? The kids come to you, the grandkids come to you. And then, of course, you wind up in that no-go phase where you're like, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm tired.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, make sure that you're not, assuming incorrectly when it comes to how much money you're going to need in retirement. Don't just think that it's going to be 60 or 70 or 80% of what you've made, when you had your salary. And the final piece, Anthony, we'll wrap up with here is being active. an easy way to ruin your retirement is to just stop being active. Not only is it bad mentally and physically, but it's bad financially.
Absolutely. I mean, it's easy to become lazy in retirement because there's no longer the external push for you to move around every single day, right?
Right.
But if you spend just a couple of more hours sitting in front of the TV every day, it's not going to take long for you to see an erosion in your muscle
Right.
and decrease in your energy level. I mean, it is so important that you stay active and make them the best part of your life. I can't tell you, Mark, how many times I've seen people go downhill just because they just don't get out anymore. They just become lazy. And what's the old adage? A couch potato, a spectator, I forgot all the potatoes. But
It's You become a potato, and it's not good for you, family either. But you want to make sure that, and we really are seeing that, like we mentioned earlier, with us living longer, people are more active now. So continue, and you got a plan for that, right? It all comes back to the same thing. Actually, I was mistaken. We got time for one more. We'll squeeze one more in here. Investing like you're 35 years old when you're 65 years old is a good way to maybe mess up your retirement.
Well, yeah. You're starting to sound like, who's that Jeff Foxworthy blue collar? Here's your sign.
That's true. Yeah,
Bill Engvall.
Bill Engvall. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it is tempting sometimes to take too much risk with the retirement money, especially when the market's on fire the way it is, and people as Americans in general are greedy, so they want to try to make as much as they can. And I had a meeting just this past week with a couple. He was 78 and she was 79, and they were just chomping out the bits, wanting to throw their retirement money in the market. And of course, you've been doing the show with me several years now, and I really go by the rule of 100, which kind of keeps us in check on all of it. But you can get too risky sometimes, especially if you feel that your portfolio's just should be a little bit bigger than it actually is. And that's kind of what they were doing, at 79, 78. And they're like, oh man, if we live 10 more years, that puts us at 89 and 88 and 89 years old. And if we live 10 more years, are we really going to have enough money? Shouldn't we throw some over here in the market and try to gain 30% this next year? Well, that's a blade that cuts both ways. We could possibly gain 28, 30%, but what if you lose 28 or 30%? And they're like, oh, well, I hadn't really thought about that.
Right.
So yeah, you can't treat your retirement like you're 35 years old anymore. And in their case, at 78, 79 years old, I mean, I just ask a simple question. Do you really want to risk that kind of money? Sure, we could possibly gain 25, 30%. Okay, true. It's possible. Is it possible that we could lose 25 to 30%?
Exactly, yeah.
It's possible. So if it goes that way, how are you going to feel about it? Then you're 25% less than you had. So it really drove it home to them, and they were like, no, we're going to, okay, we don't like that, because you're right. We could gain, we could lose. We don't like the could lose.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, you don't want to treat it like you're 35 years old. There's a time that you can take those kinds of risk. There's a time, and I'm okay with risk as long as we do it within that rule of 100. So, for those that have listened to me for several years, you understand 100 minus your age, and that's all we want to see at risk. So if you're 70, 30% is all we want to see at risk. So in their situation, pushing 80, all I wanted to see at risk was 20. We've already got 20 at risk. There was no reason to take any more than that. So that's kind of where I'm at on the investing part, Mark. You don't want to act like you're 35 years old and try to swing for the fences when you're 79, 80 years old. So anyway, I hope that helped everybody today. So I know we're going to be going into another segment, but before we do, I tell you what, Mark, this is what I want to do for everybody today. All right, so for all you listeners listening, here's the deal. If you'll call me within the next 15 minutes, I'm going to custom design for you an easy to understand financial GPS review that will indicate to you what your needs of your full-blown financial plan are going to be. What are you paying in fees? Where are you at now, risk versus safe? Where are you headed? How are you going to get there? And guess what? There is no obligation or cost for the initial review to all the callers listening today that have at least $100,000 saved for retirement. Folks, not trying to be mean, okay, but I just can't do something with a goose egg. So I have to make sure you've got at least $100,000 saved, and then I can help you. Now, if you meet those qualifications, here is exactly what you can expect. So first and foremost, we'll run a fee report to help you untangle what it costs you to work with your current planner or your current financial advisor. We're going to show you how to protect your investments, keep more of your money in your accounts. Next, we're going to perform a tax analysis to show how you could possibly reduce your taxes and at the same time increase your cash flow. You got to love that one. Decrease taxes, increase your tax flow. Finally, we're going to create a customized lifetime income plan using proven strategies and techniques that will turbocharge your retirement income. Let me sum it up for you. In short, I'm going to take the guesswork out of your financial planning for you. So if you'll call me in the next 15 minutes, a comprehensive financial review is going to be yours for no obligation. So call now within 15 minutes.
Great offer from Anthony Wright and the team at Retirement Specialty Group. Go ahead and take advantage by calling 888-557-1993. That's 888-557-1993. Call that number. Get yourself on the calendar. Come in for no cost, no obligation consultation with the team, with Anthony, and have that chat about your specific retirement situation. 888-557-1993. You can also text him. Text RSG to 555-888. That's the letters RSG to 555-888. You're listening to Retire the Right Way. More to come today on the program. We'll be right back.
If you're a baby boomer like me and are overwhelmed by all the potential claiming options for Social Security and not sure which choice is the right one, just pick up the phone and call Anthony Wright at Retirement Specialty Group before making any decisions. After a lifetime of working, surely you can spare 1 hour of your time to get a free, no-cost, no-obligation financial GPS at Retirement Specialty Group. Call 888-557-1993. That's 888-557-1993. Grand Ole Opry is home to the longest-running live radio broadcast in the entire world, starting in 1925. That is what I call doing it the right way.
Well, we're cruising along nicely here today on the program. You are listening to Retire the Right Way with Anthony Wright, founder at Retirement Specialty Group, and serving us here in the Knoxville, Chattanooga area, but he's also in Sparta and Crossville and Fairfield Glades, all around. So reach out to Anthony and the team at 888-557-1993. Anthony's been doing this for about a decade or so, right, Anthony?
Yeah,
I've been doing this a while. You just got back from a trip not long ago where you were recognized as one of the top 100 advisors in the country, so congratulations. So certainly you can see why we turn to Anthony each and every week here on the program to talk about the worlds of finance and retirement. Great resource to tap into. And you might be asking yourself, well, how do I tap into that resource? Well, you call 888-557-1993. If you've listened to us more than once, you know that we give this number out a lot on the program because we know we catch you while you're busy and out and about running errands or doing whatever around the house and gardening, whatever it might be. So we want to make sure that you have that chance to get on the calendar to come in for that no cost, no obligation consultation and just make sure you're headed the right way in retirement. 888-557-1993 to make that happen, or go to retirementspecialtygroup.com. Learn more about Anthony and the team there. That's retirementspecialtygroup.com. You can also text him. Text the letters RSG to 555-888. That's RSG to 555-888. Anthony, let's talk about some IRAs. We've had some questions that have been coming in lately about IRAs. So let's touch on a few things here. A couple things I got for you. 2 different studies within just the last year, Anthony, have shown that about 1/3 of people in their 50s and 60s have 100% of their IRAs invested in the stock market and nothing else. Tell me, do you think that's a problem?
I would think that's a problem if it was 100% invested in real estate or gold or anything. I mean, it's not that I'm anti-stock market. I just am anti the stock market taking all your money away from you.
Right.
I mean, yes, we've been doing pretty good in the market, but I think for you to put an IRA 100% at risk, I don't think is using good wisdom, and I don't think is using very wise counsel to counsel somebody to put 100% of your IRA at risk in the market.
1/3 of people. I mean, that's a staggering amount. 1/3 of people in their 50s and 60s.
It is a staggering amount. And now listen, if you're, as you said here, in their 50s and 60s, if you're 30, 40, sure, okay, I don't have no problem with that. But boy, when you hit 50 and 60 and 70, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting at the place where you don't have time on your side to rebound if it corrects, because we know this, Mark. We know that the market will eventually correct. Now, we don't know when,
Right.
and we don't know how much, but we do know that it eventually will pull back. And with the pullback does come the turnaround. It will turn around. That's a very true statement. It goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up. You know the yo-yo. So, I don't really have a problem if people want to put some in the market. That's what we do. We do a lot of that. You've heard me say before, we do a lot of the rule of 100 minus your age. So if somebody's 60 years old, then 40% we'll put in the market, and we'll actively manage those funds for them and take good care of it for them. But we don't go out and put 100% of it in there.
Yeah.
So we adequately and properly diversify our clients, and 40% we'll actively manage, put in the market. The other 60% we're going to be safe, we're going to be insured, we're going to be guaranteed, and we're going to make sure they don't lose that portion of it.
Okay, so part of the problem is that people just don't seem to know what options are. What else can we be looking at for investment vehicles within the IRA besides just a stock or a bond or a mutual fund?
Well, obviously stocks, bonds, mutual funds is an option. I mean, we've got ETFs, we've got stocks, we got bonds, we got mutual funds. At the end of the day, Mark, there's only probably, counting those right there, I mean, look, you got dividend stocks, you've got municipal bonds. I mean, within each of those categories, you have different categories that we can invest in, like stocks. Well, you got dividend paying stocks, you've got drip invested stocks. Bonds, you've got muni bonds, you've got government bonds. I mean, you got all kinds of different things under the bond category. Now, it's important to know and understand that bonds are going to go up as interest rates go down, and as interest rates come up, bonds are going to go down. So, it's just kind of understanding what all of them are. But to directly answer your question, there's also ETFs. There's also, some ETFs nowadays you can short, what they call short the market with the ETFs. You also have some single premium life insurance, whole life things. You've got CDs you can put your IRAs in. You've got annuities you can put your IRAs in. You've got, under the category of annuities, you've got fixed annuities, you've got indexed annuities, you've got variable annuities.
So there's a lot of vehicles out there.
Oh,
then, right?
There's a lot of vehicles. I mean, it's so wide open. And once again, I just don't want to be blindfolded and play pin the tail on the donkey. I prefer to design a plan, write that plan, and then walk that plan out, built for that individual client. And it's not, just whoever walks in the door gets thrown in American funds or Franklin Templeton or, the latest, greatest mutual fund. Everybody gets this mutual fund, or everybody gets this stock, or,
Right.
So
right.
I just absolutely demand that we write a plan for everybody that comes through the door, and then we work the plan.
Well, you mentioned the A word. Okay, so we'll just talk about it for a quick second, because some people have a real negative connotation when they hear the A word, and of course I mean annuity. And everybody's situation is different. Now, like you started to say, there's multiple types of annuities out there, and annuity may or may not be a good vehicle for you, but it's it just depends, right? So people seem to hear certain words or certain things when it comes to finances and retirement planning, and they maybe have a negative response to it, and they're not even sure why. So I think it's safe to, or at least it's a good idea to say that it may be a vehicle that works well for you, and it may not be, but you don't know that until you have a conversation, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly 100% correct. It may work for you and it may not. If it does work for you, then which one of them works? I mean, it's kind of like saying the stock market works for everybody. Well, that isn't true.
True.
I mean, some people, the stock market, you don't want to put them in. Some people you want to put in and go all in. It's the same way with bonds. You can't say, well, bonds belong in everybody's portfolio. Well, you can't make that statement. You can't turn around and say, well, nobody needs bonds. It's the same way with annuities. I mean, you can't make a blanket statement and say, well, everybody needs an annuity. Well, you can't turn around and make that. You can't turn the other side of the coin, because a coin's got two sides, right?
Yes. It's again, We talk in generalities, but it's a one-off conversation to have with your advisor to talk about your situation. And as you're building that plan, as you're building that GPS, looking at the different vehicles that are available and each person's unique situation and working them through that. And that's what we talk about a lot here on the program. You're listening to Retire the Right Way with Anthony Wright, 888-557-1993. That's 888-557-1993. If you have questions about your IRAs, that's the conversation we're having right now on the program. About 1/3 of people in their 50s and 60s have up to 100% of their IRA invested in the stock market. And that could be a problem, even though the market's doing really well and has been for, low these 18, 20 months or so. You want to make sure that you at least are addressing the option of maybe taking some off the table, maybe making sure that you have some monies that are safe or protected or whatever the case might be, depending on your situation. So, Anthony, do most of these same concepts apply to other tax-deferred accounts, like a 401k or a 403b or a TSP?
They do. I mean, a TSP is just a thrift savings plan. A 403b is just somebody that's going to work at a school or a nonprofit hospital or a church or something like that. 401k, that's the same. They're all the same thing. They're just under different IRS codes. That's why they're called a 403b or a TSP or 401k. But at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. When you leave your employer, you no longer work there. We take that 403b or that thrift savings plan or that 401k, and we just simply roll it into an IRA. And then based upon, what the plan states, is we begin to craft a plan and we begin to put a portfolio together and take a look at, what does belong here and what is the right thing to do. But yeah, to answer your question direct, it's the exact same concepts. It's be properly diversified. Mark, so many times, and I'll be the first to say this too. You here just a little while ago, you asked about, so many people are like, oh, don't say the A word, the annuity.
Right.
And there's so many advisors out there that are afraid of annuities. I'm not afraid of annuities. I use annuities. And for the right situation, but which one do we use? Do we use fixed? Do we use a hybrid annuity? Do we use a variable annuity? Do we use an indexed annuity? Same thing here. I don't back away from saying, well, what do we use? Mutual funds. Okay, what do we use? I mean, do we use international mutual funds? Do we use domestic mutual funds? And the biggest misconception that I see out there with mutual funds is everybody thinks, well, the concept of a mutual company, a mutual fund is we're in 100 different companies. So, okay, so then my question back to them is that real, true, proper diversification? On 9/11, and everybody seems to forget the stock market crashes, right? They're all happy because things are going good, and I'm certainly optimistic, and I'm glad things are going good and looking good. But you can't forget that we did have a market crash. So when the market crashed, if you're in 100 different stocks, all 100 stocks went down. So that's not proper diversification. So in talking about the concepts, I use the concept of true diversification. Maybe there's a little bit in mutual funds. Maybe there's a little bit in bonds. Maybe there's a little bit in stocks. Maybe there's a little bit in domestic stocks, a little bit in international stocks, a little bit in an annuity, a little bit in mutual funds, a little bit in an ETF. Proper diversification, maybe a little bit in gold, a little bit in silver. That way we're properly diversified. We're not going to take a hammer. We're not going to take a beating in the event that the market should correct again, and in the event that we had a collapse. My clients aren't going to get hurt and they're not going to get injured because we use the proper concepts and we go by that plan that we designed. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. And we, a lot of times people with mutual funds, and I was talking with a gentleman a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, and he was talking about how he had come across a guy who had, 30 different mutual funds. And when they went into them, the overlap is massive. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that either. You buy a bunch of mutual funds over the years, and basically, you have 30 versions of Coke or 30 versions of GM or whatever the case is. And that's not being diversified. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with having that, but you want to make sure that that you're just not, I guess the redundancy is just not killing you and overlapping, and you're winding up taking that same potential loss that you could be, as you just mentioned, in case there's a pullback or correction. Well, some folks are concerned about the tax implications of moving investments around inside an IRA. What exactly are we talking about there with that? Give us some kind of just a quick rundown on that.
And a lot of people constantly ask me, Mark, they'll say, well, if you had one specialty, so to speak, what would it be? Because, the name of my company is Retirement Specialty Group.
Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah.
So obviously I specialize in retirement. But if I had to say one particular thing, it would be that I am an IRA and a 401k rollover specialist. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I am. That's what I help people with. There are no implications as long as you're rolling it and as long as you're keeping it in what they call like-kind transfer. So a like-kind transfer means that it's going to go from a 401k into an IRA, or it's going to go from a 403b into an IRA. So as long as we keep it like-kind, there's not going to be any fees. There's not any tax implications. Now, where you run into tax implications is when you reach in and you pull that out. Now, I have had people say, well, what if I take that money and put it in my checking account? Okay, fine, you can do that. And if you do that, you have 60 days to get that moved into another vehicle that is like kind. So folks will say, well, what do you mean by that, Anthony? Well, let's just say you got a $100,000 IRA. Well, you can call up and say, send me that $100,000. I want my money. Well, okay, so it goes in your checkbook. Do you have tax implications at that moment? No, not if you put it back in an IRA within 60 days. Now, if you take that 100 and you spend it, yes, you're going to have tax implications. If you take that 100 and you put it back in another IRA within 60 days. So here's where I run into that at, Mark. A lot of times people will move here from another state and they don't like the broker or they don't like the person they're working with, the financial advisor they're working with in that state. So they think, well, I'm moving to Tennessee. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call up, I'm going to cash the IRA in, and I'm just going to have them put it in my checking account. You can do that. That's fine. If you do, be sure that you do something with it within 60 days.
Okay.
And people will come to me all the time and they'll say, okay, I put all this IRA money in my checking account and I'm panicking. Am I going to have a bunch of taxes due? Well, when did you do that? So as long as they tell me within the past 60 days, then we can go ahead and roll it into an IRA, and they're fine. There's no problem. And I've even had the accountants call me at the end of the year, and I'll say, they got 60 days to move it. They moved it within that 60-day time frame. Here's the date it went in the checking account. Here's the date that it went in the IRA. And the accountants will be like, okay, I got you. In fact, last year I had one client that come in, just super panicky, called, had to, just an emergency. And I thought, dear Lord, what in the world? So they got their taxes done at one of these little, retail places like you walk into Walmart,
Yeah.
So the staff called me on my cell phone. They're like, man, they're like, Glenn is panicking. And I'm like, oh, what in the world for? So I called him back and he was like, Anthony, he was like, they tell me I owe $83,200 and some odd dollars in taxes.
Oh my God. I'd be panicking too.
I would too, right? And I'm like, what? And they're like, then we owe $82,300 or something. And I'm like, okay, look, take a deep breath. Who did your taxes? And it was somebody at one of these little walk-in things at Walmart,
Yeah.
And I said, okay. All right, look, give me the number and let me three-way them in. So sure enough, it was a little young girl just out of high school, and she was doing the taxes. And I said, dear, can I speak to your supervisor? So she said, yeah. So she got the supervisor on the phone. And immediately I told the supervisor, I said, he came into my office. This is the date the money went in. He moved it within that 60-day time frame, and she apologized to him, calmed him down, said, I'm very, very sorry. She's just a newbie and a young girl, and she made a mistake. So we got it straightened out. But, boy, he was panicking, and I would too.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, as long as you do it within that 60-day time frame, we can do it. Now, that's if you put the money in your account. If you don't put the money in your account, then it just goes from company A to company B, and there are no tax implications, period. So as long as you're going from company A to company B, there are no tax implications. If you put all the money in your checking account, as long as you move it to another IRA within 60 days, there are no implications. So, again, what I'd like to do now is make this special offer to those listening to me today. If you're listening and you do have an IRA or a 401k that you need to roll over, I'm here. I'm available. Give me a call or text me or email me. So, Mark, right now I'd like to offer the listeners an opportunity to come in for a complimentary financial review. Now, what am I going to offer? I'm going to offer this review absolutely free as long as you have at least $100,000 saved for retirement. I'm not trying to be mean, not trying to be rude. I just can't do something with a goose egg zero. So we got to have a little bit saved for retirement before I can help. So if you've got at least $100,000 saved for retirement, then I can help you. So we're really, really, really passionate about making sure that our clients have all their bases covered in the retirement plan. For instance here, Social Security. Well, at what age should you start taking that benefit, and then how does it fit into your overall income picture? So most people run down to office, Social Security office, turn it on at 62, and they take a huge 25% haircut. Anyway, going to take a look at when do you turn on Social Security? How much risk are you taking in your portfolio? And is that amount of risk appropriate for your age and for the amount of return that you're actually getting? How much are you paying in fees and commissions with your current plan? What about the tax implications of your savings? Is there a way to save money in taxes down the road by planning proactively right now? Do you have an income plan in place to be sure that you aren't in danger of running out of money? Nothing worse than getting to retirement and running out of money. If you end up living 30 or more years in retirement, then you stand a chance of running out of money. Don't let that happen. Do you have a plan to address inflation in future decades as the cost of every single thing you buy continues to go up? Mark, you can't buy anything cheap nowadays. Everything is going up. What about long-term care? Oh, my word, that's through the roof already. But do you have a plan for how you're going to pay for that assisted living or that nursing home if you need it? If leaving a legacy is important to you, have you determined the best way to pass that money to the future generations? Folks, I don't think you want your children and your grandchildren paying 40-50% in taxes. So we take a look at that legacy planning. Obviously, there is a lot that we have to discuss. And if we found one thing at all, we have found that most people just hasn't planned thoroughly enough to address all these issues, and they get themselves in trouble. So if you've been managing your retirement and you've been doing that all by yourself, and you now realize that there's a lot of these issues that I've mentioned that you really haven't even addressed, or if you're now realizing that your current planner or your current advisor hasn't been helping you think through all these issues thoroughly, by the way, they should be, but not everybody does. So today is your chance to get a true comprehensive plan put in place. So again, keep in mind this review is complimentary if you have at least $100,000 saved for retirement. But folks, you got to keep in mind, you guys have been following me on here and listening to Mark and I for several years now. The calendar fills up very, very quickly. So go ahead, give me a call today, right now. Don't put it off any longer. Don't procrastinate. Call today so I can be sure that I get you a spot reserved on my calendar so we can sit down and address these issues and get them took care of for you. So call me today.
And again, that number is 888-557-1993 to take advantage of this offer from Anthony Wright. If you've got questions about your IRAs or 401ks or anything we've talked about today, longevity risk, whatever it might be, questions about finance and retirement in general, go ahead and give Anthony a call. Get on the calendar, come in for that consultation. There's no cost, there's no obligation. 888-557-1993. That's 888-557-1993. If you can't call right now, write that number down and give him a call as soon as you can. Don't procrastinate because it always gets the better of us. 888-557-1993. You're listening to Retire the Right Way. We got more to come after this.
What is the one thing more precious than gold, cannot be bought or sold, and that we all wish to have more of? Did you guess time? If so, that's correct. Time, and it is fleeting. So let's not let time stand in our way. Pick up the phone and call Anthony Wright at Retirement Specialty Group today and make sure your retirement plans will be ready and waiting right on time. Call 888-557-1993. That's 888-557-1993.
Retirement Specialty Group's logo is a lion, L-I-O-N. It stands for loving individuals over numbers. And I think we all could use a little more of that. Now, back to the show.
Well, we're cruising down the home stretch here on Retire the Right Way with Anthony Wright of Retirement Specialty Group, 888-557-1993. That's 888-557-1993 to get yourself on the calendar to come in and talk about your specific unique financial situation. And maybe you have some questions you'd just like to submit into him just to get a quick answer or response before you come in for a full consultation. Well, you can do so by going to retirementspecialtygroup.com, and you could send him an email that way, or you could check him out on Facebook and send him a message at Retirement Specialty Group. Just search that out in the Facebook thing there, little search window in Facebook. But again, check him out online at retirementspecialtygroup.com, and that's where we have some questions this week from the mailbag. So we've got questions that come in from around the area, and we try to pick the best ones, or at least a couple each week, to ask Anthony here on the air, get his thoughts, get his opinions on these. So, Anthony, I got a question for you here from Joel. Joel is in Chattanooga, and he would like to know, or at least he'd like some information from you. He says, Anthony, I am tired of having 5 rental properties, so I think I'm going to sell 3. And maybe all 5, I haven't decided yet. I'll miss the income, but I will not miss the headache. I have quite a bit of equity in these properties. So the question really is, how should I invest the money after I sell it? Thoughts or ideas?
Woo! Well, Joel, first of all, thanks for listening to the show, and I really appreciate always hearing from my listeners and getting response from the people listening. So, yeah, I think Joel is reading my mind, because my wife and I just unloaded like 3 because of the headaches. So, first of all, I would congratulate Joel on having 5 rental properties. There's a lot of people don't ever acquire 5 and having equity in them. So what would I do to invest the money? I would probably look at definitely something you're going to see as non-qualified, because Joel, you have non-qualified money. Now, the last segment, we were talking a lot about an IRA money. So this isn't going to be IRA money. I don't see anything in this question that indicates it's IRA money. A self-directed IRA, Mark, is something that people use to buy rental properties and real estate. I don't see any of that here in this question. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's non-qualified money. And being non-qualified money, it would all depend on what Joel's risk score is. So, Joel, we would just sit down with you and begin to put a plan together for you, find out what your risk level is, find out what your risk score is. And obviously, you're in real estate, and some people say that that's not risky until you go out and buy real estate. It's risky. You can't just walk up to that bricks and mortar and say, hey, cough me up 20 grand. Well, it don't work like that.
Right.
And then like he says, all the headaches that go along with it. So I just have to develop a risk score for you, Joel, and see what your risk level is and make a determination from there what we do. But as Mark and I talked earlier today, there's probably 7 to 8 different types of areas that we could go with it. And I just don't know which area over the radio to kind of tell you to go until I sit down with you and find out what your risk assessment score is and find out kind of about your personality and what type of risk you have. But thanks for writing in and thanks for listening to me. And congratulations on having quite a bit of equity in there. And just know that it'll be non-qualified money. I don't see anything in the question here that says it's an IRA, self-directed IRA. So just know that it's going to be a non-qualified account.
Okay, so just kind of playing devil's advocate here, Anthony. So if let's just say after he pays the taxes or capital gains or whatever, so he could dump this in like a Roth if he wanted to, or he could open up a obviously if he wants, you're not going to make anything off of a money market account, but he could do that if he wanted to, or he could do an annuity if it's the right place. There's lots of different options, right?
Yeah, there's lots of different options. It's once again, we're not told everything a lot of times. So yeah, it really would determine it's not going to be in a Roth because one Roth has got restrictions on it. You can only put X amount, so
gotcha.
So much per year,
depending on how much.
Income has to be so much per year. That's the reason I was making it clear to Joel that it'll be a non-qualified account.
Gotcha.
So a non-qualified account is going to mean that he only pays taxes on the money one time.
Yep. Okay.
So he's not going to pay, he's not going to pay taxes on it again. So FIFO sometimes is the language that financial advisors will use, first in, first out, FIFO.
Uh-huh.
So the first money you put in's already had taxes on it. So the first money you take out, you don't pay taxes on it.
I got you.
Because You're not going to pay taxes twice.
Well, we hope not, right? Well, see, that's why I ask the questions and you answer them in case I get them wrong. Well, again, Joel, thanks so much for the question. Just give them a call, man. Just come in and sit down and have a conversation. You're in Chattanooga. They've got an office there. Anthony can get time on the calendar for you. Just give them a call, 888-557-1993. Come in and have a conversation. Take about an hour of your time, so nothing too major, and have a good old chat. 888-557-1993. Thanks for listening to the show, Joel. We certainly appreciate it. Beth in Knoxville. Beth would like to know, she says, I haven't wanted to pay off my house because it's one of the few tax deductions I still have left, but I do have the money to pay it off. What do you think about this?
Well, Beth, thanks for writing in. And once again, it's kind of hard to advise. Mark and I speak in generalities, and we speak in general terms on the radio to cover a bigger market. But, it really depends, Beth. If you're working, then your head is pretty much right where it needs to be. That's one of the few tax deductions you have left. So, it's kind of hard for me to tell you on the radio what I mean. Well, at the end, Mark, I would always advise anybody to, anytime you could eliminate debt, you want to eliminate debt, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, and kind of at the end of it, I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, but kind of at the end of the house payoff, I mean, the tax deductions, they're not that much anymore, are they?
No, well, now you get that standard. Everybody gets that standard $24,000 deduction.
No, that's true with the new stuff coming through.
Yeah, that new stuff coming through. So, yeah, it might be possible where Beth should just go ahead and pay it off, but it might be a situation where she needs the write-off too. So it's kind of hard to just give a, boom, do this. But I would say in general terms, I would never, ever discourage somebody from paying off debt. I mean, that's what everybody wants to do is pay off debt, right?
Yeah, I guess in this situation, because there is some new tax laws and there's new tax code coming through, maybe really just sit down and have a conversation with your CPA, Beth, and find out what the best strategy would be.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much, I imagine those CPAs have, at this point have taken a deeper dive into that and know a little bit more about what's going to happen with the new tax code as it comes out here, pretty shortly. So go ahead and maybe have a conversation with them. If you don't have one, I know, Anthony, you work with a few CPAs, so you can certainly refer her there and kind of get that all working in-house under the same roof, and then that way you can help her with some of the other things that she might have questions about with retirement. 888-557-1993. Beth, if you want to go ahead and reach out and maybe get that referral from Anthony and the team for a CPA if you don't have one. 888-557-1993. Okay, well then let's see what we got here from Rick. And Rick is also in Knoxville. And Rick says, Anthony, I retired 2 years ago with more than $1 million in my IRA, which I thought at the time would be enough to give me the retirement lifestyle that I want. And I'll probably be fine, but it makes me nervous every time I withdraw money from the account because, just like we talked about earlier, Anthony, I don't want to live too long and run out of my money. Am I worrying just too much?
No, you're not worrying too much, Rick. Not at all. I mean, listen, I know people that are listening to us today on the airways, they think $1 million is a lot of money, and not to make short of that. I mean, it is a lot of money, but $1 million doesn't really go very far nowadays. You know what I mean, Mark? I mean, it's a lot of money. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but by the time he says right here, it's an IRA. So by the time you take taxes out of that, I mean, you're down to, if he's in a 30% tax bracket, you're down to $700,000. And then if the market came along and took away half of that, I mean, pretty soon your $1 million is down to $300,000. So,
and it also depends on his withdrawal too, right? If he's depending on who he's working with, if what they've got him pulling out, right? If he's pulling out 5%, that could be an issue.
Absolutely. I meet with folks every day that start out with $1 million, and some even higher than that. I met with one a couple of months ago that moved up here from I forgot where they were from. They were Pennsylvania or somewhere, but they had a $3.2 million IRA, and they lost it all.
Oh, geez.
It was horrible. And they just had a bad financial advisor and lost it all. Another couple moved in from Florida to Fairfield Glade, lost $750,000. So $1 million sounds like a lot of money, but Rick, if you don't get a plan, and if you don't work that plan, and if you don't know exactly what's ahead of you and know and plan for the ups and downs of the market, you think $1 million is a lot of money, and with all due respect, it is. But Mark, I learned a long time ago, if you don't manage your money will manage you.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure, Rick, that you manage that money and make sure that $1 million not only grows, but let's make sure that you have it and it gets you not, all the way through your retirement.
Well, maybe, a good way to put that then, Rick, is if you're worrying too much, come in and have a conversation, get a financial GPS. It's complimentary to get this thing started, get things rolling, and just get a plan laid out, and you might find that you are worrying too much. You might find that you're going to be just fine, as you mentioned in your email, but you also may find that you do need to make some adjustments. Maybe, again, like I mentioned, maybe you're pulling too much out or planning on pulling too much out annually. You need to adjust that, or maybe reallocate a little bit, or whatever the case might be. And Anthony, that's certainly where a GPS can kind of help, right?
I agree 100%. And that's one thing that we really specialize in here for all those listening today at Retirement Specialty Group is the financial GPS. That's our call to fame. That's what we're notorious for. And everybody that comes through the doors, we give them a financial GPS. What does that mean? That means it is a roadmap of every twist and turn and every exit we're going to take and how we're going to get there. It gives us a risk score of how we're properly diversified, what our risk level is. It gives us the fees that you're going to pay, the fees that you currently pay your advisor, and it shows how we're going to save you money on that. It is a full detail, Mark. It's about 40 to 45 pages in detail. There's a lot of my advisor friends out there. You mentioned earlier, I just got back from Orlando, getting to walk across the stage as one of the top 100. So I was able to talk with a lot of those guys, and for the plan like this, they're getting $950 and north of that to write these plans. We're doing it absolutely complimentary. All you have to do is just pick up the phone and give us a call. So I got a special offer for all those that are listening today, Mark, that I want to make for them to come in, get a complimentary financial GPS plan. So here's my offer. All right, so for all your listeners listening, here's the deal. If you'll call me within the next 15 minutes, I'm going to custom design for you an easy-to-understand financial GPS review that will indicate to you what your needs of your full-blown financial plan are going to be. What are you paying in fees? Where are you at now, risk versus safe? Where are you headed? How are you going to get there? And guess what? There is no obligation or cost for the initial review to all the callers listening today that have at least $100,000 saved for retirement. Folks, not trying to be mean, okay, but I just can't do something with a goose egg. So I have to make sure you've got at least $100,000 saved, and then I can help you. Now, if you meet those qualifications, here is exactly what you can expect. So first and foremost, we'll run a fee report to help you untangle what it costs you to work with your current planner or your current financial advisor. We're going to show you how to protect your investments, keep more of your money in your accounts. Next, we're going to perform a tax analysis to show how you could possibly reduce your taxes and at the same time increase your cash flow. You got to love that one. Decrease taxes, increase your tax flow. Finally, we're going to create a customized lifetime income plan using proven strategies and techniques that will turbocharge your retirement income. Let me sum it up for you. In short, I'm going to take the guesswork out of your financial planning for you. So if you'll call me in the next 15 minutes, a comprehensive financial review is going to be yours for no obligation. So call now within 15 minutes.
And that number again is 888-557-1993. That is 888-557-1993. As we depart the program today, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity from Anthony Wright. Get yourself on the calendar. Come in for that complimentary financial GPS. Whether it's Rick or Joel or Beth or anybody listening today, go ahead and take advantage. Get yourself on the calendar for that complimentary financial review from Anthony Wright at Retirement Specialty Group. 888-557-1993. That is 888-557-1993 to get started with your financial GPS. As always, Anthony, thanks for being on the program. I appreciate your time and your wisdom, buddy.
Hey, Mark, good to always be on here with you, man. And guess what? This is Super Bowl weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
It is. Everybody have a good time, at least as good a time as you can have. For me, I'm just like, just really tired of seeing one team in particular, but that's all right. We'll talk about something else. Hey, everybody, have a great week. Enjoy yourself, and we'll do it all again next time right here on Retire the Right Way with Anthony Wright.
information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.